Hello and welcome to another Making a Geek. I am your host, Damien
Hello.
DiCarlo. With me, I have my lovely assistants of the Avatar Stone. Hello, Avatar.
Hello.
Hello. And then James Creviston is on the program. Hello, James
Also a
Creviston.
Hello, hello.
co-host.
I wouldn't say
Excellent.
lovely. Lovely is probably above and beyond.
I decided to start this a little
Adequate.
I would
different.
say lovely.
I want it to sound a little radio-y. People they don't do that anymore. There's no finesse. There's no romance in the radio world anymore.
There's no
Who am I
radio.
kidding?
I
There's no
feel like
radio.
you're going more magician than usual.
So how are you guys, first of all? Avatar, James, it's been forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you're
been
doing yeah?
forever.
No, yeah. I was gonna let Avatar go first. I was just being.
Ladies
I was
first,
gonna let you
Avatar.
go first.
Oh,
It has been forever and ever, and I've missed you guys.
Aw, that sounds more than genuine. James, how are you doing?
I'm great. Everything is good. It's been busy. Yeah, and it feels like it's been forever. I can agree with like the feeling of forever and ever. Like that feels like a long time between podcasts. So yeah, it's good to be here and good to be able to talk about geek stuff and geek out together. So we haven't got to do that in a
Absolutely.
while.
Awesome. This episode, we haven't really done this, but I wanted to just kind of geek out in general with you guys on stuff that I personally may not be familiar with or stuff that's going on in the geek world for you guys. So, go ahead and start us off. Avatar, what's been on your mind besides what I can see in the background of the Zoom call right now?
Hey. I am obsessed with Ghostbusters, as well you know. I've loved every Ghostbuster movie to have come out since the 80s. Even the female version was actually really good. Like everyone hated on it. I loved it. I thought it was very funny and cute. It wasn't obviously as good as the originals, but it was cute. And I want to let you know that I feel very similarly about the new one, which I have now seen 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
So
It's so good.
Ghostbusters Afterlife. See, okay, and this is where you can make me a geek today because I've seen Ghostbusters 1 and 2 a lot growing up. And I didn't see what was the what was the title of the all-female Ghostbusters? Was it just
I
Ghostbusters?
think it was the Ghostbusters, wasn't
I
it?
think it was yeah, I
I
think
think
you're
they
right. It
call
was
it
the
the
Ghostbusters.
I
Ghostbusters.
didn't see that one, and I didn't see the new one,
It
and I've
wasn't
heard good
bad.
things.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. It was very funny. I mean, it had half of SNL in it, which was always fun. And Chris Hemsworth as this very sweet idiot
With his shirt off a
with
lot.
his shirt off, which is a
Is
very
there any
important.
other kind of Chris Hemsworth?
I'm just being honest.
No, no. But this new one, if you love the originals, you can't hate it. I will say, Rotten Tomatoes critics only gave it a score of like 65. The audience score is 94. It's so nostalgic. It makes you really remember just like your childhood watching these movies. They even got kind of Harold Ramis involved in it, post-mortem, but I bawled at the end. Just
That's
at the
awesome.
There's this very sweet moment at the end where all 3 or 4 times I've seen it, I just cried. You can't not.
That's awesome.
So it's a
It's
huge
amazing.
nostalgic trip for you when you see one of these movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
It's the
assume you grew up
basis
on the
is,
originals.
Yes. Can I talk about it, or is it
Yeah.
still too early?
No,
Not
I
yet.
think this is good. I mean, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen it. I think it's good that you do. I'm
For
okay with
sure.
it. Even though I haven't seen it.
I'm not
Just-
gonna. What?
No, I was gonna say, just so you know, the female Ghostbusters is actually titled Ghostbusters Answer the Call. So it has
That's what it was.
it has
That's
like
right.
another
Okay.
tagline to it. So there
That's
you go.
right.
Just so you
Got
know.
it.
Thank you. So this one, Afterlife, is I'm not gonna have too many spoilers for those of you that still really want to see it, so I'm not ruining the ending or anything. But they've basically been fighting the same in 1 and 2, the originals. They were fighting basically the same ghost/god. They were fighting what's its name? See, I've seen it 3 or 4 times. I can't remember.
You're too caught up
Uh,
with everything else.
Zool,
You
isn't
know-
it Zool?
Zool and the other one are the gatekeeper and the keymaster.
Zool and
Gozer.
Gozer. Thank you.
Gozer.
Thank you.
which is cast by with Olivia Wilde of all people. Gozer is kind of unisex, very ambiguous, interesting look. She's still hot somehow as this weird skeletal thing. And it's surrounding Harold Ramis, Egon's family after he dies. And they go up to like where he lived, and they discover what he was doing. And it's his granddaughter and his grandson and his daughter, who's like estranged. They don't talk to him. And they cast McKenna Grace as his granddaughter. And she is a she is such a good actress at her age. She's like 15. She is a carbon copy of Egon in this. You just watch her act and you're just like, that's Egon. And you just cry a little bit. It's so good. And there's a few characters with her who are kind of like callbacks to the original Ghostbusters. Like her best friend podcast is totally Dan Aykroyd in every way. And they even connect at the end. It's so good. But it's just a great callback to the originals. And I can't recommend it enough. And I don't want to say any more than that because I really need people to just feel what I felt. It gets you in the feels.
We have one of the boys that was in Stranger Things. Am I incorrect with that?
Finn Wolfhard.
Finn something.
And I mean, he did
knowing.
phenomenal on Stranger Things. Like, I mean,
yes.
all those kids did an amazing job. So I definitely welcome to see that actor come back. And I know obviously he's a lot older now, so I'm sure he's only gotten better.
He's got to be like 18, 19. He's not too old.
He's 19 years old.
Yeah. He looks it.
Yeah.
He plays a 15-year-old in this, which, makes sense.
There's something to be said about child actors. I think that a lot of them, obviously we've heard a lot of horror stories in the Hollywood realm and how they get pushed into this and, yada, yada, yada. But I think that a lot of them get seasoned to be such great actors as they get older. They've been thrown into it, whether, we don't know the backstory of how this works out. But I like to think that, that's what they'd like to do. And so I just think that starting off as an actor already, putting yourself in major roles and getting casted like this, I think you have to raise the bar every time higher and higher for yourself.
Yeah.
And your expectations are already, large for your audience. So speaking of the cast of Stranger Things, I was just wanting to say that that's one of the awesome Geeks pop culture go-tos right now on Netflix. Since it throws back to the 80s science fiction, and we can kind of get that from what you're describing here at Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's kind of that throwback, but in this modern, new way for a new audience, which is great. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's very nostalgic, and like my boyfriend John, John, he watched those movies in theaters. He was at that age that he could do that, and he loved it as much as I did. It's very nostalgic, and the original lovers of the original series will love this movie. You can't not. It's such a great throwback.
Yeah. Speaking of throwback, James, you and I were talking not too long ago, and I know that's something that you wanted to talk about today with Magic the Gathering. This is a card game. Geek with me on this because I don't know much about this. I know that every Comic-Con I've been to pre-pandemic was always, large crowds of people in these mess halls, just all popping a squat, playing or on a table. But now I get to hear it straight from a big fan. So do you want to enlighten us a little bit on that?
Yeah. So Magic the Gathering, it's been around since the early 90s, I believe 93, somewhere around there.
That
it
sounds about right.
got started. Yeah. And I didn't play it back then, but I did play D&D growing up. And what got me into Magic is that Wizards of the Coast, who owns Magic, also owns D&D. So they were going to do a D&D crossover set, untitled under Adventures of the Forgotten Realms. So playing D&D my whole life, I was like, oh, they're going to do a cool Dungeons and Dragons theme thing. So I got into D&D, and now I've gone down the rabbit hole. I think I want to say 30,000 cards. I don't know, lots of cards, way too many cards. Like there's boxes under my desk of cards. Yeah, it's probably 20,000.
How much does a deck of those cards go for? Like, what do you end up spending?
Yeah. Well, so all of them, like, you could buy them in packs, but it's just like, how baseball cards, when you collect baseball cards back in the day, you might get like a rookie card, or you might just get a bunch of whatever regular cards. In Magic, it's the same way. But you're guaranteed to always get like a rare or a mythic card and some good cards, but they're not always going to be the best cards. So usually, when a new set comes out, you buy packs, but normally you'll buy singles, what they call singles. So you'll buy the one cards that you want to build your deck. I play a format that's called Commander, or is formerly known as EDH, or Elder Dragon Highlander, and there's 100 card singleton format. So you get a single card, a version of every single card except for lands. You can have multiple land cards, but you can only have 100 cards in your deck. And then you play against other people, usually in 4-person groups, and you play Magic. But wait, do I already go way over your heads with that?
Way over. All I remember is when I was a kid, baseball cards were just being invented. We had a stick we had discovered, and a meatball fell off of a Italian sausage-made truck, and then we invented the stick ball, essentially.
I
I'll show you
honestly
my-
thought you were older than that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. It's a big compliment coming from you.
When you were you.
I
Okay.
broke her.
Sound of sticks in his time.
So you collect them like baseball cards. You trade them, but
And I
where's
build
the,
sets of cards.
where's the benefit of collecting versus trading when it comes to Magic the game? I mean, when do you not want to play a good card, or do you?
There are some cards that are very expensive that are, they might have couple $100 cards. The older cards are obviously worth more money. Since you're building a deck out of them to play against other people, the more powerful cards you have, the better your deck's going to be, right? So the more powerful spells, more powerful creatures, all those kind of things, you're going to have a much better deck playing against the people. And since you're playing, usually in a 4-person group, you're playing against 3 other people to survive. So you have to be able to counter and deal with other people's creatures, other people's spells, other people's monsters, other people's artifacts, all those kind of things. And so you have to, the best part of Magic, at least for me, is the deck building part, right? It's not so much the collecting part, which is great because I have a lot of cool cards and cards that are highly valued and people like, and they're staples of the formats, but it's building decks based on stuff. I am a themed builder, so I like to build around what they call tribes. So that'd be like merfolk or elves or goblins or angels, stuff like that.
So this is very similar to D&D, and you.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And
I've never played, so I'm very intrigued.
Is this based on hit points? Like, if you were to deal a card, this is like X amount of hit points to your opponent. Why don't you give us a demonstration, and I'll try to explain it on.
So we'll pull up this card. This is going to be
I'm gonna get really close.
A merfolk. Here, I'll hold it up to the camera better. Okay, so on the front of this card, you can see all the rules text. And up here on this corner is how much it costs in mana. Mana is your lands. So it's 1 blue. Blue is an island, so 1 blue. And then this is all the rules text for the card. And then down here is its power and toughness. So just like you would get with your D&D character of how much toughness your character can take before they die, this has the same thing. So if somebody was hit with this card, in Commander, you start with 40 life points as for you as the player, and then each card has their toughness, where if they get, say if this was a 3/3 and something else hit it with 3, it would die, but it's a 3/4, so if something hit it with 3, it wouldn't die. It would have 1 toughness left over, and then as the round ends and it comes back, it gains that toughness back again.
Okay, so your points right now in that card, you're a toughness of 3 out of 4. Is that what I'm saying?
So yeah, attack level of 3 and a toughness of 4. So this is defense,
So it's
offense.
like toughness is health.
Okay.
Yeah, toughness is like how
Okay.
much damage you can take.
Cool.
And then this is the 3 on there is the attack amount. How much, whenever I attack you with it, you get hit for 3. If you can hit me for 4 or more on this with another creature you have, or defend with that, this creature will
Then
die.
it's gone.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, my tough card would be, the number would be astronomical. It'd be like 10,000. You
don't get to create your own, Damien.
My
That's not how it
strength
works.
is a modest 9,000.
You know what I think?
That's why I don't
we
play.
should
I'm afraid of
create?
hurting
I'm
other
gonna
people.
draw you up a magic card. That's the Damien DeCarlo card.
Yeah,
It's
that'd be
gonna
cool.
have hit points of 20,000 and defense toughness points of like 40,000.
The Magic community will never talk to me again.
Actually,
Avatar,
The best would be star, and then you can just put it based on something else. However many other people's creatures are on there, that's how strong he is. He's stronger
9
because
pointed
of
stars
Yeah.
for Damien.
Yeah, I've slayed many monsters in my day. Avatar, have you ever played a game like this or D&D?
Pokemon.
Pokemon, okay.
Pokemon's very similar.
It's
Yeah.
similar, yeah. And I can think of other role-playing games, even in the video game world, that are very, very similar to this.
You know, I've been wanting to do
Oh, yeah, me too.
Jesus Christ. Words have been so hard since 2022 began.
We lost all vocabulary skills.
All of it. I've developed a stutter this year. No, I've been wanting to get into D&D for a while now. I just need to find a group.
Yeah.
If only there was a group of 2 other men that would love to play with their friend.
I would love that, but you know, it seems like it's one of those things that would be more fun your first couple times in live, like.
Yeah. I mean,
sitting down
is
in
this
the same
something
room.
that could be played over Zoom, James, since you're
I know
more
it
the
can,
expert?
because my
It
sister
can.
is in like 2 games right now over Zoom.
Oh, for
Okay.
D&D, for D&D for
Yeah.
sure. For Magic, there is another app called Spell Table
I've heard
Okay.
of that.
where people they put a
camera up top so you can
up top
see
so you
down,
can see their
right?
whole board and
Yeah.
and see all the cards laid
I
out
was
and stuff.
listening to another podcast and they were talking about having magic nights and they just have this camera facing down so they can see the cards. It's
Yep.
like you can just see the table.
Yeah. And that's the way you do it, because most time when you're playing, you're looking, you're talking to your friends or whatever and you're laughing or whatever, but you're looking at what's on the board and you're assessing it. It's like war basically.
Yeah.
With different magical creatures and whatever you're into and stuff. And then the new set that's coming out on the 11th of February, the pre-release is for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, which is a cyberpunk futuristic Japanese magic world.
Can you say that word again?
Avatar, say it 5 times fast.
Can you say that word again?
Sure.
I can't even say it once.
Kamigawa
Neon Dynasty.
Neon
Dynasty.
Oh,
Okay.
neon, like neon lights.
Yeah.
I heard something.
Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. I got it.
Okay, that's doable. Okay.
Yeah, it's all like cyberpunk themes. So it's like very
Cool.
much like, you know, there's mechs, there's samurai, there's ninjas, there's hackers, there's all kinds of like cool stuff like that. It's really exciting. So my
That's
next
cool.
deck is a 3-color samurai deck with the old Kamigawa samurai and then the new futuristic Kamigawa samurai. As long as they're the same kind of creature type, you can build decks pretty easily together. So
I am so old
very
that
interesting.
I remember the biggest thing in the world was a little thing called Pogs.
The Big Bang, right? Was it the Big
Pogs,
Bang?
I loved Pogs. I used to
Pogs in
have the
my
whole
day
containers. Yeah.
was the stuff of the nectar of the gods that feed children everywhere, and for me it was just I remember those days, and that the collecting thing was a big aspect of something like that, and that obviously phased off. But it seems like Magic the Gathering has been around since, I want to say, 80s, 90s.
93. I looked it up while we were talking.
Okay.
93 technically. It started in 93.
Yeah, and it's still going. I mean,
It's huge.
there's tournaments, right, for this?
Not right now because obviously the pandemic, but
Right.
there used to be giant ones and even Grand Prix and all kinds of stuff. Now most people, what happened during the pandemic is Magic went to what's called Magic the Gathering Arena. So it's an online version of the game, but it's only 1v1. So it's not as fun to play the Commander style 1v1 because you don't have other people interacting with you as well.
Sure.
And that's fun too, right? Because like maybe you and I gang up on Avatar because she has a, well, I'm not saying we would, but
I like
she has
this game already.
bigger monsters, better spells, and we're like, hey, I can't beat her by myself. You can't beat her by yourself. But if we team up together, we can beat her, and then it's going to
So
be last
I'm
man
like the
standing.
best player, and you can only beat me by
If we all team
teaming
up.
up. You
Okay.
can't do it on your. Okay, I'm good with this scenario.
Yeah, and that happens a lot more than you think, right? A lot of times you think like I said, my decks are very thematic of a style. So I love like merfolks and tribes. I'm a tribal player. And usually tribes they're not as strong as somebody who builds it just out of purely just all the strong cards. So a lot of times I will have to team up with somebody else. And then the sad part is 9 times out of 10, that person will have wasted more resources than I did. And then I can win the game after that. And so sometimes I bow out. Sometimes like, all right, well, I'll let you beat me because really like you had all the resources to win this game. That's not
Because
fair
you're such a
otherwise.
nice guy. That's why.
Well, I do play nicely.
I'm so intrigued now.
It's a
I
fun
would like to
game.
try this. I
It's
would like to try
addictive.
this with you guys. And
Yeah.
again, my toughness scale is over 10,000. I'm sorry.
I have
I
so
will
many
take it easy
decks.
for you guys. I'll bring myself a couple notches down.
I'm so intrigued because when I first heard or saw this game, I was already in high school. I know it's been around since
Mhm.
just after I was born, but I first heard about it maybe like 15 years ago.
Right.
And it was intriguing to me, but it also seemed very complex for a card game, which is why I never got into it. I was like, I don't want to learn all these rules right now. But the way
Complex
you're
sounds almost
explaining
a
it
little
now,
derogatory. I'd like to say it's just intricate. It sounds like there's a lot involved with so many little things that
yeah,
you have
Yeah.
to
it is
learn so
intricate.
much.
But
There's
now
layers to it though.
yeah, but it seems more interesting now hearing you explain it, and it seems a little bit more accessible.
Right.
It
So
is.
now I'm intrigued.
And I think if you played Commander as opposed to some of the other formats, because they are singleton card formats where you only need to see the one card you're about to play, and you need to kind of just understand that a little bit, it makes it easier. That's what's getting people more into playing Magic is the Commander aspect, is the singleton card format, 100 cards. You can't have duplicates unless they're lands, and people get it. Like they go, okay, I only need one of this card. In some of the other formats, you need 4 of cards, and some cards are very expensive in those formats, and then they rotate. So then a new set comes out, and the cards that you spent all the money on no longer can be played in that format. So you're out all the money for those cards, or you have to trade them, or you're hoping that they come back. So what's great with Commanders, you can use all the cards from Magic from the beginning of Magic until now and play with those cards. There are some that are banned or whatever, but for the most part, if I saw an old card that was like from 93 when it first got printed, I was like, oh, that'd be awesome in this deck. I could play that card unless it's banned and nobody cares. And
Why
most
would
of the
it
time,
be banned?
maybe it's too powerful. Maybe there's too, like, if
That's what happened to me.
play,
I'm banned.
yeah.
You're banned forever, actually,
banned
but
forever.
I decided that months ago.
So yeah, it'll just have a synergy that'll be too strong for the table to deal with, or could just like steamroll somebody with 2-card combos. So you play this card or this card, and now a synergy happens that just nobody can stop, and it would just
Right.
the game, and that's no fun to play with.
Huh.
Right. You know, I can see that being the case. That's really interesting. I would love to talk more on, like, have a full episode on the podcast show about Magic and maybe
Yeah.
interview some players that could tell us a little bit more about what it's like to do, maybe even a tournament, or what that's like to do at a con.
Maybe
Which
they could make magic geeks out of us.
There you go.
that would
Well,
be.
I
Really
think there's
good.
going to be more Magic Geeks because there's a Magic series coming to Netflix, and
Oh.
Brandon Routh, the guy who played Superman
He was
Returns.
a Superman once.
He was
Not
Superman,
a good one, but
yeah.
a
Yeah,
Superman.
not a good one. I agree. And he was also the Atom in Flash and Green and Arrow, not Green
the
Arrow.
whole Arrowverse, yeah.
The Arrowverse stuff.
Legends
So
of
he was
Tomorrow.
Legend Tomorrow, right? So he's going to be playing what's called a Planeswalker in Magic, which is these characters that are like kind of super powered superheroes that can travel between different planes or different worlds or universes inside the Magic universe.
Why
So,
do I feel like he's getting pigeonholed again?
well, I
just
think he's kind of
typecast
a
at this point.
nerd,
You're a
anyways.
superhero.
Yeah.
He is actually. I
I'm okay with
briefly
that.
met Brandon Routh over
He
at
is kind of a
Comic Con,
superhero.
and he's a very nice guy. But you could see geek written all over the guy.
Yeah.
He was there. I think he was promoting Scott Pilgrim at the time, and he was
Oh.
literally
Oh,
just
yeah.
in a line that I was in a line with, and I recognized him obviously as Superman, and I was like, "Hey, it was a really great job being Superman." And he's like, "Oh, thanks." And he just was geeking out about some comic books he bought, and he's just like taking them out, like, "Oh, I got this and I got that." I'm like, "You really are just
Yeah,
a
that
geek."
strong jawline hides a huge nerd.
Yeah,
I love
That's what
that
we need.
about him.
We need that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
him and
I-
Zach Levy. Levi?
Zach
Zachary
Shazam.
Levi.
Shazam, yeah.
Yeah,
Also Chuck. Come on.
and Chuck. I hadn't seen
Such a good show.
Chuck.
Oh my god, use my
yeah.
HBO if you don't have it. Watch it.
Yeah.
I'm watching it right now. I've seen it like 5 times.
That's how we do this at
I
Mini Geek. We help each
love
other out.
that. Also, have you seen Ted Lasso yet? Sorry, tangent, because this is important.
No, I have not seen Ted Lasso. I do not
You
have
can-
Apple Plus.
I told you
TV
you can use my Apple. It's
streaming
worth it.
plus.
It is worth
5.
it. It's a great
The
times
best
100.
thing. I'm watching it for the 3rd time now in 2 months. It's the best show I've ever seen in my life.
It's fantastic.
Currently, I am going through some of the Star Wars films
Okay,
and
Emily
The
will love
Mandalorian.
this too.
Yeah, and so my girlfriend's actually not fully acquainted with the Mandalorian series as a whole. So we're going through it now. She had seen some of it before in preparation for the new Boba Fett show. I'm still catching up, so I haven't quite gotten there yet, and that's where I'm at now.
Are you going to make her watch the Clone Wars series?
Oh
Because
my
the
God,
only
you
reason
have to.
I was going to say the only reason I say that is because it's a better way of getting to the future of Star Wars without the prequels, if that makes sense. Like the prequels
Right.
were kind of like, okay, we can get there.
I think
now
you and
have
I
a
feel
weird
differently
opinion
about that.
about-
Yeah,
What?
so the prequels I didn't hate.
I'm still mad that I don't hate them anymore.
I don't
Yeah, and you
love
and
them,
I,
though. I don't
Avatar,
love
have
them.
been reviewing those with our guest fan base press, and we still are due for our next one. But so reviewing it this time around in 2020, at the time when we were doing it, 2021, like it feels very differently now, mastered in 4K, and it's just I think the prequels mean something different to me now that I've seen episodes 7 through 9.
Okay.
Which I still will say are garbage.
And I respect that. I know some people feel very, very adamant about that.
I would rather watch 7 through 9 than 1 through 3. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Okay.
See, because
And
of
this is
fan-based
funny because
press,
Avatar
they've
had
changed
said
my
that
mind.
too.
They've changed my, except for Jar Jar Binks, who will forever
Ruin Star
over
Wars.
there in that corner,
Yeah.
far away,
Right.
buried under 20 feet of earth. I don't. I now think that 1, 2, and 3 are better than 7, 8, 9. Not for effects, obviously. When it comes to special effects and stuff, you
Right.
can't get better than the newest stuff.
Right. Yeah. When it comes to that,
It's just, I still think what's his name? Hayden Christensen,
Hayden
not a great
Christensen, yeah.
actor.
Yeah.
But there was storyline that I hated before that I don't anymore. That
Right.
I maybe understand better now. 7, 8, 9 to me were just absolute garbage.
Well, do you understand them more because did you watch like the Clone Wars animated series? Like, did you watch that as well?
Yes.
So I feel like I
love it.
understood those 3 better because of that later on. So I have a
Yes.
better understanding of them and appreciation, I guess, but I still don't like them. I saw them. Here's the truth. I saw them in theaters when they came out. I went into the theaters with my
Same.
uncle to go see all of them. And then we also watched, what was great about it is as the third one came out, then they played again 4, 5, and 6. So I watched all 6 of them in a row. And then I was still like, this is terrible. Like, you did not set up 4 properly here. And then it took Rogue One to get you to like, okay, and Clone Wars to get you to like, oh, okay, I can accept 1, 2, and 3 for what they were now. But it took 2 other things to do that for me.
But I'll also say I don't like Rogue One. I
Wow. I'm
think I need
shocked.
to give it another chance. Okay.
I am shocked.
So I think I need to give it another chance because I'm hearing from so many other geeks that they did love it. So maybe the one time I watched it, I just need to rewatch it.
Give
maybe
it another shot. Yeah.
I liked Solo a lot. Maybe
Yeah,
it was
Solo
the
was
nostalgia
great.
factor because
A lot of people didn't like it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was good.
And then Han Solo and Chewie are my 2 favorites, obviously,
Right.
because I'm a dork. But it's I found it slow. And I couldn't get into
Rogue One
it.
is not a lightsaber Jedi heavy.
Yeah.
It's not what it's supposed to be, and that's what's great about it is you realize we all think like, oh, Luke and Leia and the Jedis, the Jedi needed to save the universe. No, it was normal people that went against the grain and solve the problems of taking down the Empire, right? If it wasn't for what happened to Rogue
One, I need to give it another shot.
I think
I will like it the second time around.
Fantastic.
It was just the first time it was so slow and it wasn't what I was expecting. Now that I know what it is, I think I will be able to appreciate it, but I need to try again.
It's the only Star Wars movie that makes me cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, fair enough, because that was a pretty crazy the last couple of parts of that movie. I will agree with that. Yeah, I think that is probably the most, for me personally, most emotional. Maybe next to episode 3, but you know how episode 3 was going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
But Rogue One was a little unexpected.
Episode
I was
3
like, wow,
has a great fight scene.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's beautifully done. It's maybe a little drawn out, but it's beautifully done.
Right.
Yeah, but you kind of want to see the drawn out for that situation, right? To get to where what we get in episode 4. If you don't have that drawn out fight, you don't never get it. Okay.
Because this is something that's been pointed out to me, and we've talked about this, but I just need to reiterate because it's ridiculous. Obi-Wan is a good guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can agree that. And yet he chops off the limbs of his protege and goes, die here.
Yeah, but
That's not a good guy.
I know, but I think what it is that that's the Jedi's way of removing their emotion, and he had to take care of, obviously. It wasn't
Yeah,
just
but he
a
also couldn't
Sith
bring himself
Lord.
to
It
put him
was
out
a
of his misery. He left
future.
him there to suffer.
It was a future catastrophe that would happen if he was let live. You know, like he knew what would happen.
Yeah.
And Jedi aren't supposed to have emotional attachment. So if he had to be unemotional about the situation.
Understood, but and it had to be set up that way for episode 4, otherwise we wouldn't have Darth Vader, so I get it. But logically, a Jedi would have killed him.
I agree.
A Jedi would not have let him suffer. So
but that also shows you
the
weakness of Obi-Wan Kenobi
exactly
as well, because
he couldn't bring himself.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think they bring that up in episode 4 as well, that he had that weakness of not striking down Vader before. I think that was like one of the things that's brought up. So it's like, okay, we get it. Obi-Wan has to repent for what he did incorrectly, right, at the time period. And the Jedi Order died off because of that situation. And then all the Jedi had to go into hiding, and like all those things occurred. Had Obi-Wan actually killed him, would the Jedi Order
have episodes 4 or 5?
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe they would have been the Jedi Order rebuilds to fight the Empire, right? And then we go there, and maybe it's Luke really does go to the dark side, and then we get a future, still another version of Vader that's not.
I'm just saying, Star Wars multiverse could happen.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Down for that.
They had expanded what they call the expanded universes at some point, and they used some of them in The Mandalorian, where they had like the black.
Yeah, but that was just Dark Horse comics.
Yeah, but those were huge. I mean, because then you also get the other guy that's kind of like Han Solo. Why can I not forget his name? Remember his name. There's another guy who's like a Han Solo type character in that, and then you got Grand Admiral Thrawn, and you have all these other characters that came out of that. That just those characters will make great canon if we can get them into the existing universe. I mean, yes, they've done it in an animated series a little bit, but if we get them in real life, that takes everything to a whole nother level.
That would be pretty sick. Now, Damien, I realized that we wanted to keep this short, but we still don't know what you want to geek out about.
Yeah.
That was basically it. For me is Star Wars this week. It's all that's on my brain. Like I said, I'm trying to get into Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, and then at the same time refresh my memory as well as my girlfriend's memories of these films to get into the now series that we're watching. Even Mandalorian this time around. Now that I saw episodes 4 through 6, was a great like refresher to certain side characters I noticed, or certain like cameo things that were implied or whatever. But it also just sets up right where things left off, because I saw Mandalorian without seeing episodes 4 through 6 freshly watched. So it was just kind of like, okay, I have to remember the timeline.
So you felt it more in the timeline.
Yeah. Seeing it this time around, especially seeing the Mandalorian through a second run. I don't know how many people or listeners have done that, but I really, really encourage you to do it again, because you notice, number one, more, and then you appreciate knowing what's going to happen, and you're noticing other things about the story now all of a sudden, because before there was like a lot to absorb.
Yeah.
So for me, my geeking for this week is all Star Wars and Mandalorian. I am in anticipation of the Book of Boba Fett. I've done my best to not look at spoilers, although I know some of it, but and that's tough to do. That's really tough to do. And I would say for us geeks that are older, Avatar, you're in your 20s, and James, you're in your 40s, and I'm in my 80s. So it's hard when we're older to look back. I'm taking shaving off a couple years to go back and do this, to keep up with so much fandom because of our busy lives, whether it's i.e. a family, job, career. There's just so much to consume. That it's one of those things that's so hard to keep out of social media when you don't want to be spoiled. Yeah. So my hat's off to the people that can get away without knowing spoilers, but nowadays it's really, really tough.
It is.
I am just hoping that Boba Fett and the Mandalorian set up the Shadows of the Empire storyline, so we get Dash Rendar.
Yeah.
I would literally die.
That's what I'm hoping is going to happen. I don't know if that's going to happen, But from
I mean,
everything
with
that I'm
Jon
seeing,
Favreau at the helm, it's entirely possible. And
It's
probably
anything is possible with that guy. That guy can pull off anything.
King of the Geeks.
From Iron Man to this, he is king of the geeks. Him and
King
Kevin
of the
Feige.
geeks.
Kevin Feige is the Jesus Christ of the geek world, and then,
I'm actually basing my food truck that I'm gonna have in a couple months off of the movie Chef.
oh, I love that movie. That's awesome. Listen,
Jon
Jon Favreau, if you're listening to this, I will get in better shape if you let me play Dash Rendar. That's all I want to do. I want to play Dash Rendar.
I will
just to audition.
I'll get jacked, dude. I'll get jacked. Whatever you want. I'll grow a beard. I'll do all the stuff you want. Whatever you want.
Do it. I could see you doing it.
I love Dash Rendar. He was like my favorite because everyone loves Han Solo, but Dash Rendar was this new version of that, and I was like,
exactly, yeah, he was like the newer badass version, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you, but my love for Harrison Ford has him at my top.
I agree. No, I'm 100%. I'm just saying, because there was no Han Solo.
Oh, he's badass.
Dash Rendar's the man. So
absolutely.
And then the internet is still blowing up over Sebastian Stan. The possibility that he could play Luke Skywalker.
He looks like him.
I know, he looks insanely like him.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, he is a much better looking guy, and not to say Mark Hamill is not, but I'm just saying you can see some suave in this guy, and it looked like Luke Skywalker. Done. Do it.
He looks like Mark Hamill when he was younger, just better.
People wanted him to come back, and he's been several interviews talking about it, saying, sure, maybe, whatever. And just as of recent, it got brought up again, and his quote was, I'm never going to rule out the possibility of being Luke. So it's like he is up for it, and the reason why I'm saying this is that if you went to Shadows of the Empire, that story, which I was telling my girlfriend this right after we watched Empire Strikes Back, takes place in between that and Return of the Jedi, right? You'll need a Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, you will.
So, Sebastian Stan, hello. Hi, how are you?
Yeah. And I'm going to get jacked so I can play Dash Rendar. Although, I'm going to do that. That's it. I'm saying it now. I'm going to be
announcing
I'm going to make
to the world. This is it.
Yeah.
Our very own James Creviston's going to be
hit the gym again.
Yeah.
I used to be jacked, dude. So now
I could see you in the gym like every day. Got a Dash Rendar. Got a Dash Rendar. Got a Dash Rendar.
4 hours a day.
He's just so cool, man. So yeah,
it is, and I can't wait. And I know there's so much possibilities. We could always have episodes to geek out, and I'm glad that we do this because we do this normally. Folks that are listening and watching, we do this anyway. So this is why we decided to record one of us generally just geeking about things that we want to talk about with each other. But in this case, you get to be part of the conversation too. So don't forget to hit us up with any comments, suggestions. We definitely would love to geek out with you guys too. And Avatar, I definitely will take your recommendation on Ghostbusters Afterlife. I definitely need to watch that. I've been wanting to.
Yeah, you definitely should watch Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso is on my list.
I will send you my password.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if we should keep that in here. I don't want you to both get in trouble.
Go ahead and say it now on the air.
You can borrow my Apple TV. I'm sure they're fine with borrowing. Just borrow.
Yeah, because Apple's so generous.
I pay $5 a month. It's fine. They know. I do have one last question because it feels like we're wrapping this up for you, Damien.
Yeah.
Now it's been out for a while, so I'm sure you've heard of it, if not seen it. But seeing as you were a good friend of his, how do you feel about the play Hamilton?
How do I feel about the play Hamilton?
Since you knew him so well back in the day.
Yeah. Well, it's grossly inaccurate. Number one, he was my interior decorator, to be honest.
Oh wow! I didn't know he was gay.
No,
You can be straight and be an interior decorator.
That's not what we say here on the air. He gave me some advising about decorating at the time it was a cave, and it turned into something a little bit better. See where I'm going? Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know he was a bat.
Yeah. Hamilton's a great guy, and he is not what people think. So, him and Albert Einstein, which was he was a party animal. Anyway,
I have no doubt about that. He was.
Now that we've lost all our viewers and subscribers, Avatar. Before we go, by the way, wish you luck with you just mentioned your food truck business that you're firing off.
It's gonna be a couple months, but it's happening.
I really am fully supporting in eating all your food.
Dessert, really. So you got to develop a.
Oh, it's dessert. It's dessert.
It's all my baked goods. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, there goes your Dash Rendar audition.
I make gluten-free stuff.
Call me Fat Rendar.
Oh man. But yeah, no, nonetheless, good luck, Avatar. But till then, where can folks find you on social media?
You can find my personal account at astoneb on Instagram, and if you want to look at my baked goods, it's at Oasis in the Dessert, not desert, dessert, 2 S's.
Got it. They're very clever.
like
James Creviston, you are not on social media, but people can hunt you down.
I am actually. I put my other podcast up at the Clean Comedy Podcast. Yeah.
Oh, I see how it is. Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
It was just the easiest way for me to do everything and put it under there. So anything that will be under there.
So where can folks find you on social media now with your other podcast?
At the Clean Comedy Podcast. It's on. That's only Instagram though. So I kept it just
Instagram.
One thing.
Hey,
That's what I used to.
You're in the step in the right direction. You old
I'm
fart.
trying.
You can find me at Damien_DeCarlo. You can find us collectively at makingitgeek.com. Until next time, everybody, stay calm and geek on. Good night, everybody.
Right.